All right. So Brian's here and Bob is here and Johanna is moderating. Can we just get some confirmation that everybody can hear us?
Yep, we're good to go.
Wonderful. Yeah, so we're getting confirmation people can hear us. And it's 2 o'clock on the nose. So what we're going to do is kind of walk through, I've created a challenge. We're going to walk through some slides. We'll probably look at the page itself. Bob's going to ask questions because since I created it, I'm concerned that I'll make leaps of information in the process of trying to explain it because I already understand it. And he doesn't totally understand what I'm doing, so he can ask questions, and hopefully those will be questions that will be helpful for you guys in understanding things. Bob, you have anything you want to add on to that?
No, you can type your questions into the questions little tab at the bottom of the GoToWebinar panel, and we'll answer those either interactively or I'll save them for the end.
Great. And if they're simple ones, Johanna will try to answer quick ones as well, if she can. So let's go ahead and get started. So what I tried to do in that, having a lot of discussions with customers is, the well of creativity is drying up a little bit. And so many of you on the call have experienced the different types of challenges that have gone on, and there's a lot of different types. Obviously, the Great Race Across Tennessee was a tremendous success, and they had a lot of people sign up for it, and it really hit a nerve within America of wanting to do something and be accountable to something on a daily basis. And then we saw several others across the country, kind of take off and have a lot of people have like pretty decent success with this. So as we look to the fall and there's more races that are likely to go virtual, there's probably some possibilities with some additional challenges. But, would someone sign up for another, the same state, or would they do a different state? Would they do a different version of it? What did they like? What did they not like? And our challenge platform is continuously being iterated upon to expand the capabilities. And so that's where I wanted to take this, is to say, hey, I've been sitting on this idea called Activity for Good, which the general concept is that we all could use a little bit of motivation to continue to be active on a daily basis. And there's quite a bit of science out there that 30 minutes of activity has a tremendous effect on just overall wellness and health. Like if a doctor were to make recommendations to you, they would say, hey, drink more water and be active for 30 minutes a day. And those are two tremendous things that you can do on a daily basis. So what I wanted to do is learn more about our platform, experience it as a customer, and then raise money for Feeding America. So any net proceeds are going to go to, Feeding America, and hopefully we have some decent net proceeds to give to Feeding America and, support others at this time. So this webinar is going to be kind of, I'm hopeful to do this in a series. So kind of one is, kind of the development and concept and branding and stuff like that. The next one is going to be really dialing in on marketing and what works and what hasn't worked for me personally. And, really diving into data to show you guys like, okay, here's the actual traffic that's from specific campaigns. That doesn't mean that's exactly what happened, but that's as best as I can tell from what happened. All right. So, whoops, too fast. Okay. So, how did I come up with the idea? So as I was talking to different people, across my daily calls with, people across the country, I started to think about how much kind of what I feel is there's a lot of people that are in difficult situations and having a hard time, finding something positive, looking for accountability, looking for motivation. And these words started kind of bouncing around in my head. And one day I just kind of blurted out Activity for Good. And it stuck with me. And it turns out like that domain of it is available. The social media was available at both Facebook and Instagram. And I pitched it to several customers to say, hey, I think this could be something, interesting for you to do. And no one was really like passionate about it. And so I was like, okay, I let it go to the side. And then as we got to the summer, I said, I really want to do a deep experiment using our platform so that, I can use it the way our customers use it and see if there's holes in the process. Like, what did I not necessarily know? Because the last time that I've used the platform was with an in-person race, not necessarily with a challenge as a director. So one of the things that you want to think about is like your general audience. So when you're trying to come up with ideas, who are you trying to reach, and who's your general constituent within your audience? Meaning, if your primary audience is men between 24 and 44, you might have a different type of challenge. Like, for example, it might be, you might do well to do something like a push-up challenge or a pull-up challenge, which is quite far afield from running. But, people like doing these types of things because it allows you to kind of change your behavior for a specific period of time. That's the beauty of a challenge, is like, hopefully it's a, 2-week to 4-week engagement. And then, maybe you do something else after that. So by the time you get to the end of it, you're probably kind of over it. But in that time, you kind of learn a lot about yourself and, how well you keep yourself motivated and things like that. The next thing is you want to think about is like, how hard is the challenge? Again, going back to your constituents, what do you know about them? Do you know what their daily habits are in terms of, activity, if you're asking them to do some sort of activity? Now, like, the challenge platform is highly flexible, and we actually have some people doing some reading challenges. So, what's realistic, or how many books would your constituents read, for example? So those are the things that I went through. And what I recommend is, if you have like a journal or a notebook, like, just keep it next to wherever your favorite spot is to work. And every time you come across something you find interesting or fun, just write it down. And write down every single thing you come up with. And then when you scan the list, like, see if any one of them catches your eye. So if they do, then go ahead and start sharing that idea with your friends and family to see like what they think about it, so that they can say, oh, that's really catchy, I really like that. And then I think right now people are being extraordinarily rewarded for creativity. So don't be afraid to try different things, and make sure that like you're thinking through the not the exact fine details of the challenge, but like, what's the elevator pitch of your challenge? So like, what is it? When is it? How much is it? When does it start? Think through those things so that if you're pitching it to a friend, like, you're thinking through each one of those details, because that's what your customer is going to ask for. Bob, did you have anything you wanted to add there?
I don't think so. That was great. And
So
my comment would be that Brian is obsessed with this idea.
Yeah, and it's good to be able to have something to like really dive deep in right now. Just from like really fleshing out our tool sets and other tools. So I think everybody's going to get a lot of benefit out of this, because I've got a long list of tools. Like the doc Johanna's been working on is crazy in depth. So,
yeah, it's pretty impressive. There's just a ton of ideas that we're going to generate for everybody out of this.
So these next ones, like, a lot of you guys are familiar with this, which is domain research. So is your domain available? Obviously, it's pretty well known. You want to try to get .com. You can go to .co and stuff like that. Obviously, it can be for that. You can check for trademarks. You can check for social media handles, things like that. Those are good things to check. If you get to an idea you really like, and you have to do some slight variation, I wouldn't necessarily let that deter you, like if it's close enough. So I just got really lucky that Activity for Good was available. And when I checked all these things, they were like, boom, available. I was kind of shocked. So with a domain, I purchased a domain through GoDaddy. Whoever you buy domains through, I would buy that through that. It's a really quick, efficient process. The next thing is that I bought the domain like I think 2 or 3 Wednesdays ago. And at 10 o'clock, I bought the domain, and by 11 o'clock, I had the website up and running. So I used RunSignup's domain mapping tool, and it was up and running in less than 30 minutes. So it's an extremely powerful tool to be able to launch an SEO-friendly website in 30 minutes. And if you don't know SEO, that's basically Google, Bing, whatever search engine you use. RunSignup is an absolute SEO monster. We've had more than one problem before where people have had very similar names and creating actually confusion because participants were Googling certain names. So make sure that you're buying that domain and promoting that domain. The next thing is that for me personally, I set up a separate Gmail account. So because at the end of this challenge, I'm not sure what to do next with it. So if a customer wants to do something with this, if one of my friends wants to do something with this, I would have the ability to move this entire system to someone else, and it not necessarily be tied to my personal account. So you can set up an easy Gmail account for your event or your challenge. And if you feel like it, you can, upgrade to the G Suite, which allows you to have, Brian at activityforgood.com if you wanted to do that for $6 a month. So this is my general concept, and maybe after this we'll take a look at the website. So it's a 1-month challenge for the month of September, and there's 3 goals. So there's 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and 60 minutes per day. So, and I gave them each a unique name. So there's 30 minutes is a mover, 45 minutes is a shaker, and 60 minutes is a mover and a shaker. The charity partner is Feeding America. And so what we're trying to do is help people create healthy habits. So hopefully people that are struggling a little bit with consistency, sign up for this, get some cool swag. So we're going to have a tank top and a face buff. And this 30 days of consistency would allow them to then carry it forward, or potentially maybe Activity for Good continues their partnership with Feeding America, or maybe we take a vote from the participants to support different charity partners if people want to continue on with things like this. So I tried to keep it simple. The big difference between what I'm doing and what other people are doing, and I'll show you now on the page, is I'm really focusing in on minutes. If any of you guys are former cross-country runners, you may have had a coach that was a big believer in minutes. My high school coach was exclusively minutes. So you were running 30 minutes, 45 minutes, or 60 minutes. That's it. So it was ingrained in me that minutes do matter. So you can kind of see here on the page, I've got a 1,000-minute goal, which is a little bit more than, obviously I'm stretching people a little bit for a little bit more than 30 minutes, but not unreasonable, 1,500 minutes, 2,000 minutes. Now, one of the other things that I've done, and this is, again, as an experiment to try to understand the market better and maybe share some information with you guys, there's other major players in the endurance space that have done free challenges. Now, they're not totally free. They're free, but they don't, they're heavily upselling swag. And so in the process, if you were to sign up for the free, there's a swag upgrade in the registration path. So the idea behind this is, again, I'm trying to gather data to share information with everybody to say, hey, maybe here's another way, is that, the challenge has no cost, but there is a swag upgrade. Now, the downside for the person that signs up for this is that we're not going to make a contribution to Feeding America in their name. We will contribute whatever net proceeds are, but we aren't going to make a donation in their name, which for some people is fine. They're going to say, I don't care. And I'm really trying to find people who are motivated by that. They say, hey, I really do want to, get out and get moving, and I like the idea of supporting Feeding America. That'll keep me motivated. So I'm going to jump back to the slides here in a second, but just to highlight some things, I've got the why for Activity for Good, and this is all using the RunSignup cover page, and I'm going to talk about some of the other tools. This is the example of the face buff and the tank top, supporting Feeding America, kind of explaining, how this process works. I've got the countdown, made an image that says refer 10 friends and participate for free. And you can join I've got a Facebook group set up. And then one of the things that I did is I added Feeding America as a sponsor so that I could have their image kind of centered up on our on my homepage here.
Hey Brian.
Yeah.
I'll interrupt you. Just one small little thing. Can you just change the URL to Activity for Good instead of RunSignup, so people can see that it's a real, you get a real domain there.
Yep.
And then could you talk just a little bit about, like it's July, why does it start in September? What was your logic there? And then why a 30-day challenge? And, how did you set up to allow people to go from September 1st to the end of November? And maybe just talk a little bit about those choices, because I see a lot of people kind of trying to figure out, when should I open, and, how long should my challenge be?
So the reason I'm starting now is that number one, I have never had a Facebook account before. So I have 2 Facebook friends now, and it's not like I have 2,000 Facebook friends and I can start promoting that to my inner circle. So I'm starting from absolute zero, both on just contacts, and everything that I have is 0. And this is where some people may start. I think most of our customers are going to start with something better than that, or anyone that's on here has more than 0. But I wanted to start as hard as possible, because that's the most realistic, is to say, obviously I could contact as many people as possible in the industry and try to, push the email out and ask for favors, and that's just not really that fair. And that's not how, everybody knows somebody that maybe would help them, but no one has 400 people they can call and say, hey, would you help me, right? The other idea is that the 30-day challenge is that, in general, if you use the Google term or look on YouTube, 30-day challenges are extremely popular content, both in blogs, in Facebook posts, and YouTube content. It's very well known that 30-day challenges are popular among all those different content types. So it kind of fits into that, and also should hopefully help me some with search engine optimization to say, hey, it's a 30-day challenge. So that's kind of my general thought process on why I'm starting now. Because if you have a contact list, you probably could start. I think having everything set to go. If I had, let's say, a 30,000 person email list with great interactions with and a good customer history, I probably would have everything start August 1st, because I think slowly ramping up in early August and then kind of hitting my stride about August 8th to 10th makes a lot of sense, because then that allows you to really start honing in the marketing the second half of the month, because people register for challenges the last possible day they can. And so right now I'm having to really fight uphill to get awareness about the brand, because in retrospect, I think this is probably a little bit too much of an ambitious project, because Activity for Good comes off like a brand, whereas many of our people who are offering more specific challenges, the Great Race Across Tennessee, or we had a challenge relatively local to me, the I-81 challenge, which 81 runs up and down the spine of Virginia. Those are more specific. So I think I may have overreached by trying to sell a concept a little bit too much. But I did want to kind of show the flexibility of the platform.
The other interesting thing that I think you're doing here is you're saying that the challenge can start on September 1st, but it doesn't end on September 30th. And what that does is that people will start doing the challenge, and it's still open, and their friends can come in and participate later.
Yeah, and that's something that I get asked a lot about. And the data shows that people will register on September 2nd and September 3rd, but there's a steep drop off. I've had a few customers that have started up a second start, and that's been fairly successful. Not as successful as the initial one. And so I'm going to try to see if people will keep registering, or should I start another dates, like an October 1st start date or something like that. This is where it kind of takes me, and I'm giving myself the flexibility by having that set to be able to quickly deploy that if I see the opportunity is there. So continuing to go down to like defining your brand. So one of the things that I guess first of all, going back to the page here, pretty much the only thing that's on this page that I didn't do is the video. So you can watch the YouTube video on here. Andrew Sigwart from our team did this. I'm actually doing a budget for the event so you can see the detailed like expenses and stuff like that. So video is roughly, if you were to go out on Upwork or something like that, it roughly would be $300 to $500 is what I'm estimating. And Andrew felt like that was a pretty fair estimate for price for, this is a 36-second video that it's up on YouTube. And some of the things that you guys, again, could do probably a little bit better than me is that you probably have tens of thousands of stock images of, pictures that you're allowed to use. And I'm kind of in a gray area where I don't really necessarily have that per se. So I wanted to, I didn't have as much stock images for photos without like asking people for some. So brand identity, this kind of just came about. Like I'll show you guys kind of the, let's see, where is this in the, okay, we'll get further into that. So essentially what ended up happening is when I started building it, just like a set of colors, the teal, the blues and things like that just started grabbing my eye. And so one of my hobbies is painting. So I do acrylic painting, and like there's just certain colors that'll grab my eye and I just run with them. And that's kind of what happened here is that I realized by these, doing these color schemes and the way that I was building the brand, I was building a stronger attraction for females. And there was really no intention. It just kind of came about that way as I built things. So now this kind of allows you guys to take a look at Canva. So you can have a free account with Canva. Right now I'm on a trial account to see if I like it. I like it a lot. I think it's actually a super helpful tool. So these are the designs that I've made. So like each one of these are ones that, I've pretty quickly been able to put together. Some of these are actually kind of fun. These are some of my messing around with GIFs for badges in the challenge. So let me just show you guys where I created this thing. And yeah, I'll say Facebook. So you can go in here, and as soon as you jump in here, it allows you to kind of pull in, templates on the left-hand side, and they have, tons of, just kind of built stuff, and it's really easy to just grab stuff, so let's just say I want to use this one. So this one kind of already matches to my color scheme that I kind of like. Then you can just kind of go in here and just add some text and, put some different things in here. And one of the other things you can play with that's super helpful is, transparency. So, if I want to make that like a little bit more transparent, boom, you can change color schemes a little bit. So let's say I want it to be more like that. Okay, cool. So like this tool is extremely helpful. And it allows you to look like a professional designer. And if you connect your Facebook account, you can actually just hit publish to Facebook, and boom, it's right on there. Now, I have another tool that I'm going to show you guys probably at a later date called Hootsuite that allows you to put all of your social media into a single place. You can manage your social media from your laptop. And I would recommend it because, like, I didn't realize how annoying Instagram was to try to post to until I was like, you can't post from a computer? That's stupid. And then I went and got Hootsuite because I was like, I'm not going to sit here and post from my phone all the time. So I would highly recommend at least looking at the tool. You don't have to necessarily get the Pro one. The Pro one just allows you to have more stock images and things like that. So, so one of the things, and this one is definitely something that we get questions about a lot, and maybe we'll even maybe we should even publish this to the website, is just building out these common image sizes and then putting them in an organization fashion, like put them in a folder, and then maybe a folder, so like a logo subfolder, a banner subfolder, content block folder, cover page, things like that, so that when you go to put out social media posts or buy advertisements or put together more collateral, you have it organized in the sizes that are most commonly used on the internet. So you saw this a little bit earlier. So this is my logo inside, and then this is kind of my cover page image. So one of the things that I had to do for my cover page image, and some of you guys are going to be nodding your head, is that if you, I made the image in Canva with the language to join our 30-day challenge. And what I decided to do after uploading it is that I couldn't get the image to scale. So what I did is I took the image, the text off the image, uploaded it back into RunSignup, and then used our cover page description to put text on top of it. So when you use the cover page description inside of RunSignup, it automatically scales. If you don't understand what scale means, it's like, have you ever been on a website that syncs on mobile? That's essentially what I had done. I had built a page where you couldn't read the most compelling, ask, join our 30-day challenge. That's obviously what we want everybody to do. You couldn't get people to do it. So, because they couldn't read it. So I figured that out and got that sorted away, but that's definitely something that is a mistake that I made, and I'm sure, everybody's made it. These examples down below from our Activity for Good, these are some of the Facebook ads that I'm running, and that's what next week's webinar is going to be about, is Facebook ads, and cross your fingers, Google ads. The Google ads are, they're going out there, but not very effectively right this minute. So I made two different images. These are, again, Canva images. I just added some scheme to them and just, basically just put my own, text on them and pop them out. So like most of the stuff that I'm doing, it's taking me like 5 minutes to get done. And that's, again, especially due to Canva. So there's probably other tools like it, and if they are great, use them. So again, I've never had a Facebook page, and so I had to create a personal account. My Facebook account got locked out because they thought I wasn't a real person. So don't try to set up a personal account and a Facebook business page and try to buy ads. Facebook does not like that. They will lock you out of your account for 72 hours. So after that, you can create once you get your account set up, create not only a page, but also a Facebook group. Add FAQs to your page. Make sure you have an address, even though this is a digital business per se. It's still the best practice to have an image. And then the other thing that I would recommend, and this is to get prepared for next week, is go to business.facebook.com and set up a Facebook business account. So between now and next week, definitely set up a Facebook business account. So your Facebook group, if any of you have done a challenge or, as a participant, it's super helpful to have a Facebook group. It's amazing how many people and how much interaction is going on in these Facebook groups. It's actually like awe-inspiring, like how much content is being generated. I mean, I'm looking at some of these Facebook pages. I think the Great Race Across Tennessee had 9,500 posts in a month or something like that. That's astonishing. So, and in general, people are behaving pretty well. So that's great. You also need to decide whether your group is going to be public versus private. For the time being, it's public. If it becomes a problem, then, it'll be private. I still don't know enough about Facebook groups on how to set up some rules for moderation and potentially, having someone else help moderate it, because I can see how it can completely go off the rails. But so far, most people have said people have been pretty civil to each other. So Instagram, and this one is still one that I'm kind of trying to figure out. I don't really, I understand it, but I'm not really getting any traction at all on it. So I'm trying to, post quality images up there, because it really looks bad on Instagram if you put low res images, whereas on Facebook it just looks fine. That is one annoying thing that I have found when I've used Hootsuite, is that I've uploaded an image and it works perfectly fine on Facebook, and then I get an error on Instagram, and Instagram sometimes requires a different image size or image type. So that's something, Johanna, maybe we can add, is like if there's a set size for Instagram for different things, that might be helpful. So here's just some sampling of my my social pages. So the only thing that I think that I've done that I think is helpful is I pin my YouTube video to the top of my social media page. So if someone shares or likes my page, they'll see the video. This is also going to help me in the future for retargeting. So one of the things that you can do in Facebook ads is you can retarget people who have watched a certain percentage of the video. So if I could target people who have watched 10 seconds or more of the video. So doing those types of things allow me to be really effective on my retargeting, because hopefully, like if you've watched 10 seconds or more of the video, you're more interested in potentially participating than someone else who is not. So pricing and market research. So this is probably one of the most challenging questions, is like, what do you charge? So the pricing is all over the place for these types of things, right? So I've got a $39.99 option and a free option. Well, if you go to the free option, the swag is $29.99, and we're not giving you, you're not going to be able to participate in referral rewards, and you're not going to be able to, get the donation to Feeding America. So would I do this if I was completely myself? I'd probably go heavily one way or the other. I just think it's just too valuable to try both, to see kind of what happens. So I can share some information with you guys, because some of you guys have incredible swag. And so, being able to upsell swag in a free event can actually be a profitable strategy. So it's a little counterintuitive, but like in general for challenges, I would recommend $40 to $60, because, someone is interacting with you and your brand for 30 days. The only thing that would change my mind on pricing, and maybe this will happen on the second kind of round of challenges, is that I think this is a tremendous opportunity and platform for sponsors. So imagine your Facebook group, you could pin an ad from your sponsor, and you could kind of position them, so if participants upload or kind of participating on your site, logging their minutes, their miles, their elevation, whatever they're doing. You can also put your sponsor on their page with a link to a special landing page where participants can find out about a special offer. You can also hit them maybe 2 times with special offers throughout the month. I don't think that's too much. These things, it's kind of amazing that I haven't seen more sponsors dig into challenges, because I feel like it is good value for them. And when I'm developing out like a marketing plan, one of the things that I would be looking at is contacting sponsors that maybe I've had a relationship with previously, and asking them if they wanted to partner on this event. And the reason you might want to partner with a sponsor for like $0 is, one, if they can provide some sort of product that you could do as a giveaway or included in the entry. 2 is if they have a significant marketing list. And so you're bringing marketing list to the table, they're bringing theirs. You don't kind of share them, you just independently market it to each one of your lists. Those types of things I think people are going to be very receptive to, versus kind of cash exchanges. And then also the end goal for the sponsor is like, hey, I'm doing special offers to this obviously active group of people now, who are pretty aware of my brand at that point. So budgeting, this is something that I'm still kind of working through, and we'll try to put together a relatively decent looking budget. So right now, the budget looks like, and this is me estimating, this is going to change over time, but it looks like it's going to be about $22 to $25 per person. So it could be a little lower than that if I get more people. But that's roughly kind of budgeting. So that's including that's slicing up the cost of, domain and slicing up the cost of marketing. That is not time. I put a lot of time into this because I really want to do a good job to highlight some of the marketing capabilities that RunSignup has, as well as some of the marketing capabilities that maybe not everybody's aware of, not just in RunSignup, but in general. And I'm experimenting with a lot of different tools. So our marketing budget is going to be a little bit out of whack, in part because I'm doing kind of crazy things like buying ads on YouTube on Saturday afternoon, lighting $10 on fire in 10 minutes, stuff like that. That's roughly kind of where I would put a budget for a challenge. Is like, I think all out the door, shipping, everything included, is going to be $22 to $25 a person. So when you're talking about, price, one of the interesting things is the only thing that I have not seen, and this is like the staple of our industry until, 4 months ago, was price increases. So how do you actually drive, registration? Because if you don't have a price increase on July 31st that people care about, how do you get people to register? And so I think you need to kind of understand that in this situation, in a challenge specifically, people will not register until you're right on top of the challenge start date. So that changes how you think about logistics, that changes how you think about marketing, that changes how you think about like swag and stuff like that, because if you can't, it's hard to tell any of your vendors, especially if you need to buy like a custom item like that Facebook. If I want the stuff shipped by September 8th, I have to make that decision, give or take August 5th or 8th, somewhere in that time frame, to say, hey, I'd like that buff. I'm going to order this many buffs, and and you guys all know this well, if you're taking a leap of faith, of how many do you need. And so these types of things are, they can be used to drive registrations, like, hey, limited to 500 face buffs or 250 face buffs, whatever I wanted to do. And from a pricing standpoint, you really want to make sure that you're presenting the value that you're offering. So like a tank top at a store is easily, like, especially a decent looking one that's going to be comfortable, something you can work out in and stuff like that. They're generally, $20 to $29, depending on the store that you go to. Some of them maybe are a little less at maybe the more discount stores. And the face buffs are running anywhere from $5 to $15 from what I can tell. So like the overall value of the swag itself is pretty much in line with the price that I have. So that's kind of where I came up with the justification. And even if you think you got them on a discount, you add in the donation to Feeding America plus 30 days of motivation, encouragement, and like hopefully community, I think it's a fair value. And you kind of want to lay that out that way. So, if there's a retail value for the items, and I've even had one challenge that actually set up a store and sold, a few $1,000s in garments at retail prices, meaning they were selling, $25, nice looking Under Armour t-shirts, and they're selling, $50 hoodies and things like that. So it is very interesting, like once people get into your community, like your challenge community, that they may be willing to actually buy additional things after the challenge completes. All right. All right. So we kind of went over my pricing in detail a little bit earlier. So what's next? So we are going to do probably at least 2 more of these. Again, I've kind of alluded to it. The next one is heavily focused on marketing. I'm doing a bunch of different things right now and trying to get some things dialed in so I can share information. And the main thing that I'm still trying to get dialed in is Google Ads. I think I've got something on a relatively automated basis now on Facebook ads. It seems to be doing okay. And I can explain what I did. So that means that I think it's replicable. But I've got a few other experiments going on with some more out there ideas. And Bob is just all for me just, lighting $10 on fire on Saturday afternoon, right, Bob? I guess Bob's not up for that. All right, Johanna, what questions do we have? Nothing? I guess I'm on my own then. So let's go ahead and let people go ahead and submit questions now. If you've got some questions, I'd love to kind of go through some of them and see what you guys have for questions now. So I'm not seeing any questions coming in, but let me see if anything is popping in here. Again, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and pop them in here, and I'll take a look at them and see if I can answer them for you. No? Okay. Well, what we'll do is we'll wrap this up. We'll send you guys out. We're gonna be putting together a document, and this is going to be kind of a living and large document of like how to create a challenge, like build out the branding, build out your website, build out your cover page, and all these different types of things. And we're going to be sharing that out here shortly. And then we'll be adding kind of quote unquote chapters or additional pieces of information as we document things and learn more. So I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. I look forward to continuing to share this. Definitely take a look at the Activity Good for Good page, and and take a look at the content that we're doing there, and hopefully some of those things are helpful guys as you put together challenges. So thanks again. This is Brian from RunSignup. I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. Thank you.